What is up, Angie's League? I know I haven't uploaded videos for a while, so I'm going to do one for here in the Final Four. Um, Thank you to everybody again for this great year. First things first, Bryce, congratulations on getting last place by .1. He lost to Amanda in the final week of the regular season, which secured his last place, and then lost in total points by roughly 5 or 6 points to me in 11th. My worst finish and Bryce's worst finish in the Angie's League so far. But let's get to the playoffs. So let's do a quick recap of last week's first round. We had Ian going up against Feely, and nobody wanted to play Feely in the first round, and there's a reason why. Feely takes total points, most points for 142.2 to 110. A big, absolute destroy by Feely. Next, Sandy was versus Amanda, and once again, Amanda has beaten Sandy in the first round of the playoffs. Kind of becoming a regular thing now. And unfortunately for Sandy, her kicker fell short, only 3.3 points. That overtime could have helped you, and if they wouldn't have scored a touchdown, they would have kicked a field goal, but unfortunately, it's not the way it went. Next, we had Jeremy versus Ozan, and once again, Jeremy had such a good year and fell short in the first round of the playoffs again. And Ozan getting hot at the right time. He went through a bit of a cold streak through the middle of the year, but maybe he's bouncing back. We'll see. And then in the last game, Wink falling to Squid. Wink has just been cold the last 4 weeks, and he was even colder coming into the first round of playoffs, putting up 60.7 points. Very low score. And Squid didn't put up very much anyway either. Only 90.6, which was the lowest winning score this week, including the losers bracket. So, you gotta win. It's all about matchups. So Squid will advance now to the second round, and just to throw it in there, Weezer beat Greg, and of course I beat Bryce because Bryce is garbage and he deserves last place. And moving on to this week's matchups, we have Amanda versus Feely and the Ryans battling it out. Now, I also want to point out that in the 6-year history of the league, this is the first year that we've had the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed all make it to the next round. In years past, we've had many years where it's 1, 2, 3, 5. So that 4-5 game with Amanda and Sandy it's really been the 5 seeds game, historically speaking, but not this year. So interesting facts. So we'll see if that continues to play out and the 1 and 2 go on to win, and then the 1 wins. It would be the first time that's ever happened in the league, working out perfectly seeded. So let's just kind of take a peek here. First, we're going to look at Amanda versus Feely. Now, Amanda, one of the winningest seasons when she did win her championship, did beat Sandy in the first round that year too. So could it be maybe another run for Amanda? We do have 2 former champions in this Final Four. Ozan, a 2-time champion, and Amanda, a first-year player, first-time champion a few years back. And then now we have the newcomer Feely, and Squid, the long-time, one of the original league members, is in here. So let's check it out. Right now, for projected total, Amanda is at 106.4 to Feely's 111.5. But as I always say, projections don't mean shit unless it's really 25-point difference. So right now we've got, this is just their current lineups. They could change. I'm not sure what, they could make some tinkering, and it's only, Wednesday? So Right now, let's go quarterbacks. We got Matt Ryan, who's playing at San Francisco. Yikes. Versus Carson Wentz, who's at Washington. Big advantage there for Feely with Washington. Then he's got Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram, and she has Josh Jacobs and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is going against Washington, but looking last week, Scott was definitely getting the lead back, it seemed like, towards the second half of that game. So Miles Sanders' time might be getting cut into, even though we are versus Washington, and they will be seeing a run-heavy game later in that game if Philly decides to get up early. You never know with Oakland. I have no idea what's going on there. Josh Jacobs is questionable at this point, so who knows if he's even playing. And Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry are insanely good. Derrick Henry this time of year is really, really fucking good. So that's something to watch out for. And then Feely has, for his wide receivers, he's got DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper. Cooper's playing the Rams. Rams been pretty hot the last couple games. DeAndre Hopkins is just DeAndre Hopkins, so he's going to do his things. Now we have Devontae Adams for Chicago. He's going to get a ton of targets at Chicago. He's going to shred them, and I think it's going to be a big game for Devontae Adams. And she's got Deebo Samuel as well. You never know what's going to happen in San Francisco. There's 9 different touchdowns scored by different players last week in the Saints-San Francisco game, so let's see what happens there. And then her tight end, she has Jacob Hollister. Almost has to start him now since he saved her from last week, and or at least 2 weeks ago from beating Bryce. And I don't think she has really any other tight end on her bench. And then Feely has Jared Cook, who is questionable. He had a big, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, 90-something yards, and then he left the game. And then Feely now, also right now in his flex, is starting Kyle Rudolph. So we'll see if that changes. I would have to say it will. Looking at his bench here, he's got Michael Gallup. He even has Gerald Everett. But Everett's been questionable, and the backup there has been tearing it up. So he's got Will Fuller, and Madison for the Minnesota for his running back. Amanda looks like she picked up AP. She has Cole Beasley, too, so that will be probably somebody that she looks to start, seeing how she has layered in for running back for Miami. Ravens D, and this will be an interesting matchup. I think that their settings that they have right now are not going to be the final settings they go into with, but, you never know. It's weirder things can happen, and maybe they're seeing stuff that I don't see or the rest of the league doesn't see. They got all that insider information. Next to the Ryans matchup. Let's see if my computer will load her. This one I think is going to be much closer. Projected total, Ozan 107.3 to 111.4 for Squid. This one's pretty split down the middle in terms of who has advantages on players. You have Tom Brady, who's been posting very average-type numbers, which is what Squid has starting right now, but they are playing Cincinnati, who are terrible. And then you have Rodgers at Chicago. Rodgers playing Chicago, and I believe they are in Green Bay, and they historically shred the Bears. But I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty run-heavy game here this week. So we'll see on that. And now Ozan's got Gurley and Hunt. 2 solid running backs. Hunt definitely been much better than I thought it would be. But then again, it is the Browns, and they're just an absolute mess. And you've got to be careful. Squid's got Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey, who's been obviously, I don't know anybody in any league that I've talked to where the team that had Christian McCaffrey didn't make the playoffs. He is single-handedly carrying teams to playoffs and to now look like maybe even championships. And Devin Singletary also has his other running back against Pittsburgh. That's a tough run D to play against. Now he also has Stephon Diggs and Tyler Boyd. Boyd, tough matchup in New England. Stephon Diggs, if Thielen's still out, that's going to be a great start. He's going to probably see at least 8 or 9 targets. Minimal in the going against Julio Jones and Emmanuel Sanders. Julio Jones, now with Calvin Ridley out, is going to maybe be doubled, and they are playing San Francisco, a tough matchup, but it's Julio Jones. Again, he's a fucking monster. And Emmanuel Sanders, who has just been finding a way to get open and probably going to expose very weak Atlanta pass D. And then you have Zach Ertz, who finally decided to show up as the lead tight end there. There's literally no wide receivers left in Philly, so they're running 3 tight end sets. So he'll probably see a big amount of volume. And you have Mark Andrews in Baltimore, who also is one of the top ranked tight ends here. They have both top 5 tight ends, so it's gonna be interesting. Looks like he picked up, or he's starting AJ Brown this week for Tennessee after having 2 monster weeks. I wouldn't blame him. It's a little bit of a homer pick. And then Kenyon Drake running for the flex for Squid, taking David Johnson's position. Defenses, it can go either way, and kickers the same here. Their benches, there's really not much depth in terms of Ozan's. He's got Golden Tate, Jamal Williams, and maybe Robbie Anderson that they could, sub in there, but I think he's got his lineup pretty much set. Other than that, I mean, you have Austin Hooper maybe for tight end. He's a 5th-ranked tight end, but they're going against San Francisco. Tariq Cohen, which honestly against Green Bay, the passing backs typically shred the Packers. I not only know that because I watch them do that all the time. They just absolutely get their fucking asses kicked by that shit. So that's kind of the projections here. My projections of what I think is going to happen, I believe Feely will win, and I think that Ozan actually might win this one just because I just feel like, what do I want to happen? I want to see Feely versus Squid. I want to see 2 new guys in there. Nothing against Amanda. If it's Amanda wins, then she wins too. But I really want to see 2 new guys in there, especially for Squid, somebody that's been in the league since year 1, and love to see that. So good luck to everybody. Make sure you guys set your lineups for the game on Thursday.